Howdy, howdy, fellas. Frankie Day back again on YouTube. Again tonight on YouTube, I have another presentation of the collections of my builds of the past. This is a 1970 kit of the Hasegawa 1/72nd scale P5-M1 Marlin flying boat. Fellas, I know pretty much about this flying boat. I've seen it plenty of times as a young boy. And I've seen it plenty of times when I was in my elder years, in my later years, as I was in the Navy, served in the Navy. This right here, fellas, is the last of the Navy flying boats. This airplane was stricken for the Naval Register in 1968, and was no use for flying boats. At that time, the P3 Orion came in, a Lockheed P3 Orion, and it came in and superseded its position as an anti-patrol bomber. So actually, the P5-M Marlin is a long list of Glenn Martin's flying boats, and it all starts out with the Martin 134 Clipper, the China Clipper. That was the heyday of Glenn Martin's first design flying boat, and it had corrugated surfaces, and then the construction of the aircraft itself. And it was good from 1933 up to 1941, and it was stricken. Actually, it was used as a short-run, island-hopping flying boat. For example, like from Hawaii to Guam, or from Hawaii to the States. And you had a lot of them that were stationed in the Solomon Islands too, before the outbreak of the Second World War. Right after that, there was a much need. There was a much need of flying boats. Back in the late 30s and the 40s, flying boats were a must because they had one heck of a payload when it comes to fuel and range capacity. Because the flying boats always noted they can fly forever as long as they got fuel, and they can fly anywhere from 15 to 18 to 22 hours in flight. And they can cover a lot of mileage at that time frame. In 1938, Glenn Martin introduced the Model 170 Martin Mars flying boat, the P5-M1 Mars, and it was the largest flying boat in the world at its time. And right after that, Glenn Martin started to toy around with the P5-M Mariner flying boat. It came out about the same time as Martin Mars did. And the P5-M Mariner was a hell of a good flying boat too. It done its job. It served also World War II and post-World War II, especially the Korean War campaign. And that's about as far as it got after Korea. They were more or less just obsolete and stricken from the Naval Register, and they kept Mars until up to 1956. And by 1948, the Martin Mars had a redesigned configuration on it, getting rid of the two tails that simulated the Mariner, and made one large single tail, and the fuselage was changed too, along with the wings. So actually the whole airplane was rebuilt over again using the Mars design. And by 1949, the P5-M Marlin came in. The P5-M1 didn't have the top cantilever stabilizer, which fits directly on top of the vertical stabilizer. We received the designation squadron code EE on it. Well, it didn't have that stabilizer something on top of it. It had it on the root of the vertical stabilizer on top of the fuselage empennage. It was actually just like a regular airplane, but it didn't come out. They had a lot of problems because they had lift problems when they were taking off the water. So evidently, it went back to Martin plant, redesigned as the P5-M5, which this one there is. And you had that high-winged horizontal stabilizer on top of the tail. This thing is 1970 Martin Mars 176. Excuse me, folks. This is the Marlin flying boat by Hasegawa 1/72nd scale. I bought this kit in 1970. It cost me $8 back then. And instead of using clear transparency as came with the kit, I just went ahead and made like a desktop model by using decals for the windows in place of transparency. Right there is the beaching gear. The port side is always red, starboard is green. From the top of the bottom of the boat, the keel of the aircraft, the top up there, the top of the radar, is exactly 46 feet. It's very tall. It's a very big airplane. And a lot of these were stationed in Sangley Point, in the Philippine Islands, in Cavite. In 1957, I was 17 years old back then, and my father was stationed in the Navy. He was a machinist mate. He worked on a lot of these. He was stationed in Cavite, in Sangley Point, VP-45. This is what this airplane represents, Sangley Point, in the Philippine Islands. There's your anti-search light on right there, and there's your tail right there. I took this airplane out of the box. It's been in the box for, oh God, 40 years, 40-something years. At least I got rid of that. And it's still as shiny as the day I first built it. This model took me about 3 months to build, folks. It's not a very difficult kit to build. A novice is hard to have no problem challenging this model. But this is a pretty good one of a kind airplane. They don't produce these too much anymore. This kind of filled in the flying boat gap. Everybody was building PBYs back then, so Hasegawa came up with a keen idea. Why don't we just design an P5-M Marlin? And which they did. Actually, this kit came right after the PSI flying boat by Shinomiya, a Japanese flying boat. You look at the PS1 Shinomiya flying boat, and you look at this P5-M, you can see the differences. It's almost as they're the same airplane. Japanese were very great carpenters. They could take an airplane like this and make it almost like this, but a little better to their way of thinking. And they're very ingenious people, how they build things, and very industrious too. The wingtip is 122 feet, and the beaching gear is removable when the aircraft is actually in when it goes down the seaplane ramp. When the airplane becomes buoyant, you got two doors right there. They're bay doors open up, and the crew member, there's old Saint Nick right there. I'll see you, buddy. And anyway, they get doors open right there, and they pierce the door and remove a little keeper right there, and landing gear, the beaching gear floats to the surface. Actually, the bosses on there, the square boxes on the beaching gear is made out of wood, so it floats. And once they get it out of the water, they gotta take 2 minutes to tackle them, and vice versa when it comes back into the seaplane ramp. Now, this is one kind of airplane. You don't see too many of these modeled. Matter of fact, I've never seen one of these things modeled yet. And I've been on the internet plenty of times, and I've never seen one modeled yet. I may be stand corrected. Maybe some model out there built one of these, but people, a lot of younger generations coming into the model community is not too keen on old school aircraft like this. They're more or less into modern day stuff, which is good. But I'm old school. I like to model anything that right brothers up to the end of the Second World War, even later than the Vietnam War. I wouldn't mind getting another one of these, so any fellas out there who know where to get one of these, get a hold of me, let me know. I'd like to buy another one. And it's a beautiful airplane. It shines. You can almost shave up those wings. And that'd be it. Well, fellas, see you later, boys. We'll catch you next video. Next video will be updated Mark's 1960 aircraft. And we'll get that done. I'll post a video on that. So you guys, thank you for tuning in, everybody. God bless you all. We'll see you next video. Bye, boys. Take care now.